Last week, President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency on food security in the country. This comes as the Senate yesterday approved the president's request to amend the 2022 Supplementary Act, totaling 819 billion naira. The Red Chamber also gave the president the go-ahead to remove 500 billion naira from the 819 billion naira to fund a social safety net in the wake of the recent petrol subsidy removal. The House of Representatives equally approved the request. Many have applauded President Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency on food security in Nigeria, saying it is a crucial and timely step towards addressing the pressing issues of food scarcity and clean water availability in the country. With rising food inflation and concerns about the viability of the agriculture and food value chain, it is evident that urgent action is required to ensure the well-being of Nigerian citizens. However, the farmers who reacted to the recent declaration of the president blueprint for attaining food security and the declaration of state of emergency urged the federal government to exclude the Central Bank of Nigeria from the control of the Any Intervention Fund for the sector. Joining us on the morning show today to discuss the president's declaration on food security is African farmer Mogaji. He will also discuss the effects of the soaring price of petrol in Nigeria on the agricultural sector. Good morning, African farmer Mogaji.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on the morning show today. A state of emergency has been declared on agriculture. By your understanding, what does that mean and where is it meant to take us?
Well, it means that the making food available is as important as fighting insurgency. It's at the same level. So it means that it's prioritized. It's something that is of importance to the presidency. So when you're thinking insurgency, you're thinking of state of emergency with food, because really, food security is real security. Because insurgency, is happening in pockets, not in every state. But food security affects everybody across board. So it's meant to ensure that stakeholders, investors know how important having food, for Nigerians is important to the administration. So it's supposed to ensure that we have food when we need it and all year round. So affordability, availability at all times.
That requires a pronouncement of an emergency. Are we at that level yet?
I've been to a couple of your programs in the last 3 years where I've been raising alarm that these things, because it's agriculture, most of these things are in rural suburbs. So you don't have the media being able to capture it as it's happening. So it's really alarming, really, really alarming. And, you mentioned something about fuel, So many Nigerians don't know that the effect of subsidy removal has not reflected on the current pricing of food.
It hasn't.
It hasn't.
Now.
It hasn't.
But the prices went up almost immediately following the president's announcement.
Yes,
Tomatoes,
logistics went up, so prices went up. So this is the reality. Let me explain it to you. If you plant any crop you will plant, the earliest harvest is 45 days. That's okra and cucumber. Any other thing takes minimum of 75 days. So May 29 to June 29 to July 29, 2 months. So 75 days is from August 15. So the price of seeds that went up, fertilizer, labor, all those costs, the farmer will now be able to say, this is my actual cost. Those costs went up from May 29. So we're just going to see the true reflection.
Saying that we've not seen anything
We've not
yet.
seen anything yet. So it's from August 15 to August 30, that's when the real scenarios will begin to play out.
You are saying that Shege is still coming.
You said that.
Okay, no, so let's talk about this food security. I mean, even when we were having our chat about, the week that was, the headlines that made this week about food security and how important it is to be able to ensure that farmers are able to go to their farms and farmers are able to collect their harvest and make sure it comes, it trickles down, this way from the north down. Now, what would be your advice to the government going forward on implementing, let's say President Tinubu's blueprint for attaining food security? How can we implement it? Because it's one thing to just talk about it, but actually making sure that even with these palliatives, that maybe there's a certain level of succor that comes from that angle to see how these farmers can be protected.
So first thing first, palliative will not affect anything. It will probably make it worse. Because some people will believe that, they're giving out money, so they increase the prices. That's how it works. So palliative should just go into, say, we're providing more tractors, And, the insurgency that is making the farmers not access their farms is just a component. And that can be taken care of. The main challenges are the institutions and the systems. The Ministry of Agriculture in the last few years, when I say few years, I mean almost 20 years now, focuses more on projects and programs, not on systems. Or they focus on projects and programs and not the people. What do I mean by that? Now, the Ministry of Agriculture, their core business is ensuring that the systems under them work, the parastatals under them work, the National Seed Council, Nigeria Agric Insurance, there are about 11 of them, What their business is to make sure once those systems, those organizations, parastatals are working, we will be food secure. But majority of the time, we focus on the project. We want tomato, we want corn to be available, and we leave others, forgetting that those people are the ones that ascertain the quality of fertilizer in town, that ensure that the farmers are protected, that ensures that if you buy this chemical and it's 10% of the content, it's 10% of the content. So, and unfortunately, most of these parastatals have been politicized. So the board, Nigeria's food security currently is hinged around Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. How is that? Because he has been saddled with
as the chief of staff.
As the chief of staff, he has been saddled with the responsibility to replace the dissolved board. So some of the river basins, I spoke a lot about the river basins that the president also spoke about in the food security conversation. The river basins have people who don't have any form of technical experience as the managing director. I say this, there's a particular one in Southwest. There are two in Southwest. In South, basically. There are two. One of them has always had managing directors from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. People who want to retire, they've spent 25 years, 27 years. They want to retire, they now bring them as managing directors. They now bring executive directors who studied agriculture, but they've not practiced in 25, 30 years. And so they just keep everything moribund. So you find the presidency, in the last few presidents that we've had, you will have them roll out projects, but you have people under them, parastatals truncated. Now, the last administration, which, the food security we're talking about, the state of emergency, the last administration chunked out a lot of money in agriculture, beyond the insecurity of herdsmen and insurgency. Now, you have the river basins, especially in the Southwest, they began to increase the land charges. It went from 5,000 to 10, to 20, to 30, to 40,000 for the same piece. And know how many times we've had flood in the last few years, meaning all the farmers. So is it that the floods take away the product, or too much rain does not allow, makes the crop stunted? And yet they keep increasing money. And the federal government is saying we are encouraging private sector and investors to come in. They are not. So you cannot be talking at that level, and every system that is meant to make it happen, you are putting people who are not qualified. And who pays for it? We pay for it a lot. In the last 3 years, we've paid for it. Our current food insecurity is hinged on the fact that when investors come and the systems are not working, a majority of the fertilizers you buy are adulterated. So at the end of the day, you buy what you need to buy, you use what you think you should use, and it will not work. There's something that happened in Oyo State, some time ago. One of the importers of agrochemicals, one of the leading, they brought him to meet the chairman, and they said to him, okay, they brought fake and original. Pick. And the managing director and the team, they picked the fake. Because the fake and the original looks 100% like they print the labels in China. And they now showed him the only way we know in the field, the fake, is that during the print in China, there's a small mark on the label. So the company chose the fake. So when if you go and invest now, you do the right thing. You take funds either from investors or from banks, and all you have is chaff. Fake fertilizers. I've said it. The fertilizers that government say they are releasing, unfortunately, any fertilizer with a coat of arms run from it. And you should embrace it. You ought to embrace it because it's national. But let them today go and test those fertilizers. Anyone with a coat of arms is adulterated.
What does a fake fertilizer do?
So what that means is that if it's supposed to provide 10% nitrogen, 10% phosphorus, and as in 10%, what you have there is like 5. So what that means is that if in your production cost, you have to use 10 bags, which will probably cost now a fertilizer about 35,000, what that means is that if you're supposed to use 10, you're not supposed to use 20. So when you use 10, you will never get the outcome. So when government says they are doing these initiatives, anchor borrower, and they go and buy these fake fertilizers and give farmers, it's a loan. So the farmers do what they need to do and don't get the result, and they have to start paying. That is why we are not food secure. It's a systemic thing.
Okay. Subsidy has been removed on fertilizers. Is that correct?
Yes, we don't subsidize fertilizers.
But there was a time that we were subsidizing it.
Yes.
Why was it removed?
There's a lot of racket happening there. But you see, it's just a function that the systems are not working. Under the Ministry of Agriculture, there's a department that goes to the market without informing the marketers or the producers to test and write reports annually. They do it like 2 or 3 times. But the reports don't get implemented because there's a fertilizer cabal too. And the cabal ensures that they push the products. So if government must subsidize something in agriculture, United States, Russia, name it, everybody subsidizes something in agriculture.
Yes.
Either you subsidize input or output. Output meaning you buy at a price and you store. So, but here, people don't get the fertilizer. In fact, let me tell you this. This happened in a southwestern state many years back. Now, and this is what they do mostly in the south. It's not what they do in the north. In the south, if they need NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, the quantity is 15, 15, 15, is written on the bag. They will now go and order a fertilizer that will be 10, 12, 12. What will be meant for the north that does not work with the southern soil. So the farmers will now go there and say, this is not what we want. So they now keep the fertilizers for about 4 months, 5 months. They will now advise to the commissioner, to the governor that they are not buying, we need this money. And so they will now sell to the north. You see, there are too many things that make people lose money in the agricultural space in Nigeria. Genuine intent. And if this administration does not understand these things, they will pump money. Like again, they are beginning to look into, let's pump money into it.
Exactly.
Where are those 2 areas, sorry Shaitan, that the river basin thing, you said there are 2 in the south.
Yes.
Mainly southwest.
Yes.
Where are those?
You have, so when you hear like Ogun River Basin,
yes,
it controls Lagos, Ogun, Osun, Oyo. You know, for then Benin Owena controls Ondo and Edo states and Ekiti. But they can have projects in different states. Okay. I've been a river basin farmer for 28 years. I've operated in the north, extensively in the south, and some south-south. So these things, see, even, you know, they say, oh, there must be synergy between Ministry of Agriculture and Water Resources. That is theory. That is what ought to happen. But guess what? Even the river basin, the operations has changed over the years. So what they will plan in their offices. But the land system has changed. How things operate has changed. Like in the north, they have used these lands for many, many years. So we need to add nutrients into the soil. All those things add more money to make the soil richer. Any initiative in the last, name it, since 1999 has not paid attention to that.
I mean, you seem like a very solution-based, solution-oriented person, and you were just talking about how we constantly see money being pumped into agriculture. Now we're just seeing this recent approval of the 819 billion supplementary act, 500 billion being allocated for a social safety net. Now we don't know who our Minister of Agriculture is going to be yet. We're still waiting for the ministerial list. But while we wait, what would you say should be? What are the low-hanging fruits that we need to start looking at, one? And then secondly, how can we even take advantage of, I know this might be a very out-of-the-box suggestion because we're still trying to grapple with agriculture in Nigeria, but look at what's happening with Russia and Ukraine now. The president has said there's not going to be any wheat coming through this. So we're going to make sure we shut it down. And he's holding the entire, he's holding nations hostage. I was asking a friend earlier this week that imagine if we had a plan for wheat and we're producing wheat and we could just at this point fill in that gap and use that to boost our economy. I know that might seem like a long-term goal, but if we're looking at also how we can step in and start to fill in some of those cracks and how we can use that as an advantage to boost our economy, what would you say we should do for the low-hanging fruit and then for long-term agriculture as well?
You see, it's a bit unfortunate that government and the ministries are not seeing opportunities in these adversities. Now, so the wheat, the grains basically that is not moving from Russia to Europe, Nigeria, take for instance sunflower. Let's not just touch wheat because it's a technical crop. Let's say sunflower. Sunflower grows in any state in Nigeria and can be commercial. It's not that it's theory. Sunflower used to be grown in Ondo. Yeah. It's commercially grown in Gombe. It can grow. And we have the lands. And we are looking for more economic crops. If the farmers plant more economic crops, they'll be able to make money. So Ukraine produces a chunk, if not 70% of
the world's
sunflower. And Nigeria could have just plugged into that. We're not. Gum Arabic is produced in Sudan. Almost every soft drink that we take has gum Arabic. It grows well in Nigeria. So the global crisis we are having is Nigeria's opportunity. Did you see the last Minister of Agriculture talk about taking advantage of this? No.
Why is that?
Because they are not exposed. They are not wired for the job. See, in Nigeria, we focus more on CVs. Very intimidating CVs as against robust profiles. CVs, you can go to Harvard, Yale, have a PhD. It just shows that you can be in the classroom. But the guys that can do the job have profile. You will see them do projects here, there, So we don't focus on the profile, we focus on the degrees. So like whoever wrote that speech that they announced for the president, it is all out there that affordability is not the problem, it is availability. It is a red flag for us that is the wrong people advising government currently. Because if it is available, yes, whoever submitted that, because these are where government will rely on these experts. And when the experts can give the president something and the president takes it, and it's not a reflection of what is happening, it means that subsequent decisions will be anchored on that. Availability means it's there, you can buy it. Affordability is talking about price. So when it is not available and you are saying it is available, then wrong diagnosis leads to wrong prescription. So they just mess many people up. Low-hanging fruits. Now, low-hanging fruit for us is that we should focus on crops we have comparative advantage on. We have on sweet potato, it matures in 4 months. We have on pawpaw.
Sweet potato.
Sweet potato, I think we're number 3 globally.
Wow.
And we don't commit anything to it. Pineapple, we're between 1 to 10.
We had the commissioner, the high commissioner from Trinidad and Tobago, and he had mentioned that the sweetest pineapples that he tasted were from Nigeria.
Yeah. And guess what? It is wasting across Edo, Ondo, Ekiti, Cross River, Akwa Ibom. These things are wasting. Do you know that the plantain...
Is that a storage issue?
It's not a storage issue. It's a processing issue. When you go to like Costa Rica, Honduras, and co., you see massive estates. We don't have any estates. People just grow these things, and yet we have global ranking. So if we commit to it, pawpaw, we have global ranking, but we don't have those estates. Pawpaw is a family thing in Edo, and it's wasting, and yet we have a global ranking.
Mogaji, I'm surprised because when President Obasanjo was there,
yes,
he was, wholeheartedly into farming. And people were saying that, he had a bias for farmers. Are you saying that the 8 foundational years of Obasanjo, we didn't achieve much, or that we have frittered the achievements of Obasanjo 1999 to 2007 away, so much so that, the things that you are saying now are no longer there? And then secondly, because we are running out of time, the last government, Buhari, focused a lot on rice. Are we still self-sufficient in rice farming? And where are the pyramids? The pyramids that we saw, CBN, all of them, on rice pyramid, where are they?
So that pyramid was a mirage. As in, it's real pyramid. It's real pyramid. But in this day and age, we ought to be doing silos, not pyramids. Not pyramids. I said something on a platform and they were calling me from CBN, and I said to them, what if it rained with that 1 million bags that you want to showcase for almost 8 years? What if it rained? So the thing is, since President Yakubu Gowon, we have been investing on rice till date. We are not rice secured.
We're not?
We're not close to. We don't have a comparative advantage on rice. We have a comparative advantage on cassava and co. And let me tell you this. All presidents since 1999 either have a degree in agriculture or are exposed in agriculture. From President Obasanjo, Yar'Adua won like eight-time governor, best state in agriculture.
We're no longer importing rice, are we?
We're still importing rice. All
from
these
Thailand.
Things, from Thailand, but it comes through Niger border, Benin border, Togo border, Cameroon border. It's coming through the land. They are not coming through the port again. So that when they read that data, it is a fact that we don't have. We've reduced importation by over 75% from the ports. But the truth is that these countries, their population has not increased, but their rice importation has increased over 100%.
In 10 seconds, we have to go. What will you have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu do through the incoming Agric Minister?
First, make sure that these people are implementers. They are not people with degrees. People with track record who have done things and get them. Then it must be regionalized. Different regions must focus on different things. A central government cannot work. I just wrap up with this. When you want to, Southwest, if you don't involve police, you will not get the rural farmers to work with you. In the north, it is their Seriki. In the south, it is their clan leaders. Different things apply. So when you come with a project nationally, and it can't work for everybody. So if you makes it regional, and gets the right people in place, and we focus on our comparative advantage, not what we are spending money on, will be food secure. And to make sure that the people, the systems are working so farmers can get
Okay.
That's a very good place
Absolutely.
to end this. African Farmer Mogaji.
Mogaji.
That is actually your name, African Farmer. That shows commitment to the cause. Thank you so much for being here on the
Thank
morning
you.
show. We
Thank you
appreciate
for having
you.
Thank you very much.